channel as far as language?
Pretty much, and even I do that
Okay, cool.
sometimes. Um,
Okay, good. I just want to know how many F-bombs and such I can drop, because some channels like to be a little
right, yeah,
less. Oh, okay.
yeah. Yeah, no.
I
Like,
tend to have a very little filter in my
I,
language,
I give
but
my
I can control it.
Twitch channel has about 3 months max before
Hmm.
it's
Is this
gone.
on Twitch?
Yeah, well, just on Twitch.
Are we
Um,
on Twitch right now?
yeah. I'm putting this up on Twitch. I like it just because it like records all the streams automatically. Um,
Oh yeah, it's a lot easier.
okay.
Well, I mean, YouTube does the same shit, but whatever. Anyway,
Yeah, true.
okay, so well, the reason I wanted to first talk to you because I was thinking maybe the easiest way. Well, let's talk about. Well, if you want to mention to your peeps what it is I'm doing here as far as like what we're
Yeah,
talking
well, I
about.
was gonna say we could open with you doing a little bit of an introduction.
An
Um,
introduction.
yeah, it's an introduction. Well, here's my understanding of it, and I'm
Uh,
surprised that something along the lines of what you're doing hasn't been done already.
no, it
Um,
doesn't exist.
yeah,
So
doesn't exist. That was very surprising to me
no, it
because
doesn't.
when I started,
You shouldn't be. Trust me.
yeah, well,
But go ahead.
when I started getting into looking into the cluster A, cluster B personality disorders, I was surprised that more communities didn't exist around these things. So when I found out about your channel, I was like, oh, that makes sense. It's for schizoids essentially. It's for schizoids
Yes.
to have a community, which is funny. Like that's kind
It's
of
funny. Yeah,
ironic.
I know. It seems like it'd be in reverse, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
make any sense
yeah.
to
But
try to get
anyway,
together. Trust me, it's been an
yeah,
uphill battle,
yeah.
but I've been struggling. I've been doing it.
Hmm. So anyway, how would
Um,
that's my understanding of it. How would you describe what you do and like what you got up to and yeah, introduce yourself.
oh yeah, I shall. But one thing, you're lag city right now. Is it just me on my end, or are
Oh,
you
I
good
am.
on my side?
All right, chat, chat.
Yeah, 'cause to me it looks like lag city.
Give,
Like your voice is fine, but your video is like crazy wild. But
fascinating.
whatever, it doesn't matter.
Is
Anyway,
Yeah. So wait, is my video just laggy on Twitch? I am a
yeah.
boomer.
It might just be Discord, but it
Oh,
doesn't
okay,
matter.
okay.
Um,
Looks
but
good on
anyway, so
looks good on our
this
end,
is
they
what
say.
happened. I'll
Yeah.
just give you the background of myself. So over a year ago, well, actually like a year ago or so, well, I've been struggling with my own mental health stuff for like a really long time. Basically, grew up as a person that felt disconnected from everything from social events to family to everything most people would find normal to experience and enjoy. I just always kind of felt very detached from a lot of it, including a sense of identity and things like that. And so then I was like, what the fuck's wrong with me? And it caused, and I'm a guy who's now married with 2 kids,
Hmm.
right? So that's also a very strange, anomalous thing when it comes to being a schizoid. It's usually not the case.
Hmm.
But in my struggles to try to be a better human being for my wife and such, or not better, but like just, so I'm less fucked up essentially.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, what's wrong with me? So I studied myself for years. And then eventually I got the diagnosis, which is schizoid personality disorder.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. So that's how that started. And so when I thought, oh, cool, I have a diagnosis now, let's find out what I can find out there in the world about what's wrong with me, or quote unquote wrong. And I'm like, oh, there's nothing. Beautiful. So basically, there was no communities, there was no places to talk about it. All the information that was out there was like super black pilled, like crazy black pilled.
Hmm.
It was just basically, your life prognosis is shit. You're gonna be alone forever, and you're gonna die alone. So
Right.
that's great.
And that's sort
Um,
of what when I was looking into it, I was like, wow, yeah, like, I
yeah, it's depressing as
yeah,
fuck.
yeah, that's essentially what it seemed like when I was looking into it. So yeah, continue though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of misunderstandings and miscommunication when it comes to this within both the psych community and the people who deal with it and such, because it's treated as as this kind of like innate part of that person, but instead of like a set of adaptations, right, to their external environment. So the problem with that is that when you kind of portray it that way, it makes people that get diagnosed with it feel like, oh, I'm going to be like this forever. Great, cool. So I guess I'll just wither away now.
Hmm.
But that's not the case, and that's what I'm trying to help schizoids figure out. And I have a few ideas and theories on why it's portrayed the way it is, and what me and others can do about it to kind of get the word out on this shit, so that so many of us don't suffer quietly in our neat homes. Usually, a lot of us are neats. A lot of us are things like that. It just varies, but definitely hermits is a good word for most schizoids in general, unless they're covert ones, in which case they just pretend like they're normies, but they're not. And they don't understand any of it, but they have to mask up all day, every day, in order to adapt to their external environment, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I just wanted to, if you're down, I just wanted to just kind of really quickly read over the DSM and the ICD.
Yeah, let's do it.
What it lists. Okay.
Let's do it.
So according to DSM-5, it says, neither desires nor enjoys close relationships, including being part of a family. Also, always chooses solitary activities. Has little, if any, interest in having sexual experiences with another person. Takes pleasure in few, if any, activities. Lacks close friends or confidants other than first-degree relatives. Appears indifferent to the praise or criticism of others. Shows emotional coldness, detachment, or flattened affectivity. Okay, and then the ICD-10 says, few, if any, activities provide pleasure. Displays emotional coldness, detachment, flattened affectivity. Limited capacity. Warm, tender feelings for others as well as anger. Appears indifferent to either, that's the same. Little interest in having, almost always chooses solitary activities. Excessive preoccupation with fantasy and introspection. Neither desires nor has any close friends or confiding relationships. This one's important. Marked insensitivity to prevailing social norms and conventions. If these are not followed, this is unintentional. And, Guntrip has there's a Guntrip criteria that has like single words for it, like introversion, a sense of superiority, a loss of affect, loneliness, depersonalization, regression, so on and so forth. And there's like subtypes and there's all this shit, right? But basically what a lot of it comes down to is, these people are disconnected, detached from social norms, social things, emotional things that most people find important or useful, and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. And that's usually how a lot of the times this stuff is described. And there's different forms of how the withdrawal can take place. And basically, usually what ends up happening with a lot of us is that we just kind of keep to ourselves. Don't make any close friends. Or if we have friends, they just know some mask version of ourselves, and so on and so forth. And and then oftentimes, this is another thing that isn't quite talked about, but it's mentioned in some research, is that these people or people that are diagnosed schizoid often have things like that can be confused with simple types of schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Meaning a schizophrenia that doesn't have positive symptoms.
Yeah.
And seeing actual things and hearing auditory hallucinations and stuff, just minus all that. Or people get diagnosed often with Asperger's or some kind of autism spectrum disorder. So this is something that usually happens earlier in life, and then later, a lot of the times, these people are then diagnosed schizoid as they, usually people don't get a schizoid diagnosis until after they're 18. So it usually takes, which is that's generally the average. But what's interesting is all of this is right and wrong all at the same time. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. And why, if anybody out there is listening and is diagnosed or believes themselves to be, and you probably should get diagnosed, it's helpful to have something tangible to work with. I want to explain why this criteria and this stuff is important, but it's also very misunderstood. So cluster A in general, right? Like, okay, what is your understanding of like what cluster A is, like stuff like as far as schizophrenia and schizotypal, like what do you kind of know about it?
Right. I guess what I know is all the cluster A things seem to have skits in front of them. That's about it.
They all have schism, right?
That's schism, and that's an interesting little prefix. It occurred to me at some point like the skids was the same. Yeah, skiz and schism. Those two words were like related, and I had to think about it a little bit to, work out how, for example, a schizoid and schizophrenia, because they do. I mean, a schizophrenic is sort of defined by their positive symptoms, and so it took me a little bit to be like, oh, well, I guess in my mind, the things that they share are the shared negative symptoms. Like that's that's what they have in common.
The withdrawal, the avolition, the depression,
and
all sorts of things. Okay.
Yeah, and that's very much my experience with schizophrenia as well. You take a schizophrenic person, you give them antipsychotics, you mute the positive symptoms, and then the negative symptoms sounded
are all still there.
Yeah, so it sounded exactly like, I was like, oh my god, this is like a schizoid person. The definition is exactly like like a medicated schizophrenic person, and that was interesting to me. And then there's schizotypal, which is also cluster A, as far as I know. And
it is. It's paranoid, schizoid, and schizotypal that are generally considered cluster A.
So paranoid, schizoid, and schizotypal. So paranoid being paranoid schizophrenic, or just paranoid personality
paranoid
disorder?
Schizophrenic usually. It could be a paranoid person that's schizotypal, a paranoid person that has that sort of schizotypal thinking without necessarily having all the positive symptoms of a schizophrenic person. Because the thing about schizophrenia is that that's like a set of positive symptoms and not so much like anyway.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they just have so a paranoid schizophrenic is defined just by their delusions of persecution, right? Not anything else. So like they won't be seeing
not necessarily with positive symptoms.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
Yeah. Not necessarily, because there's paranoid individuals or people that are paranoid that aren't necessarily like seeing things. They just usually what happens is that the whatever loose associations or thoughts they have about their persecution or the possibility of persecution feel very much real to them and start having an impact on their daily life. Mm-hmm. It's not something that they can like disconnect from. These ideas associated to persecution.
Right.
It affects them. And they usually withdraw for similar reasons and become hermits and don't take part in most things in society and so on and so forth for their own reasons. But it's all coming down to the same shit. And that's what I want to talk about. Yeah. And this is what is not being discussed about cluster A and what I'm trying to help people with. And it's the key word is abstraction. Abstraction is a key word. So what happens inside most, and I'm basing this, by the way, I have to clarify, all this stuff I'm basing on is on my own experience, the experiences of others. I have a community on Discord of, 200 plus people that consider themselves schizoid or have been diagnosed officially. And we've been noticing patterns in behavior. We've had discussions amongst each other. We tend to be a very introspective bunch because that's all we have is the internal usually. And so we've been discussing ideas about our motivations, our behavior. I also have a friend that I don't even know his real name, but I consider him a best friend. And they go by Burb, as in bird. And this is an individual who is autistic as well as has these schizoid diagnosed. And we just talk theoretics, do all this crazy shit. Anyway, so this is where I'm getting all my dumb information from. It's not official. It's our own theories, it's our own concepts, whatever. Take it with what you will, grain of salt or otherwise.
What? You have your own theories, unacceptable. I only go off of the
acceptable. Only
ones.
Institutional theories and concepts. I know. Yeah. So anyway, that in itself is a problem for the schizoid, which is hilarious. But anyway, so this is it. Abstraction. So abstraction, if anybody's familiar with it, is this when one abstracts an idea. Is maybe you have a better way of explaining it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're explaining the abstraction as a concept. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying if you have a simple, less
of
annoying way of explaining it.
Well, I mean, the way I think about it is like there is things that exist as they are, and then there's and then there is like I think about who's that philosopher, Aristotle's World of Forms or something. Where there's the thing as it is, like there's a cat, but then there's the abstraction of the cat and what the cat.
What
means.
Is a cat?
Yeah,
what is
how the cat
what is
links,
an animal?
links to everything else in the world and every other concept. In the world.
All the networking, right? And then it starts getting meta, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so that's I guess another good word for it. It's meta thinking, right? And what's happening with most cluster A people is that they are meta thinking all the time, even on an unconscious level. So they're not meta thinking like because they're making the effort. It's just the automatic response to external stimuli and environment. So when you grow up as a person like this, basically what's happening is you go to a football game or you go to a sports game. Let's just say a common example. Instead of just watching the game, you start looking at the people around you. You start looking at behavior. You start looking at what the game is about. Why is this game even being played? What purpose does it serve for me to be sitting here watching this game? Why is everyone cheering? Why does this cheering get triggered by the actions of scoring? Why is scoring important? So you start having all these weird questions about what is in front of you all the time, right? And so your ideas, your feelings, your inner self is really focused on the abstract at pretty much any given time, right? Like I can't watch a movie and just watch a movie, right? I have to consciously shut down parts of my mind to just watch a movie. I can't, because otherwise what am I doing? I'm looking at cinematography, I'm looking at acting, I'm looking at narrative building, I'm looking at archetypes, I'm looking at tropes, I'm looking at all this shit, right? And this is a bunch of shit that nobody wants to talk about generally because it's boring.
Right.
So to most people, they're just like, just watch the fucking movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is dumb. What are you doing? And so imagine being a person that's like that, okay? And that all your needs and all your value systems are based on abstraction of varying levels, right? Higher forms of abstraction, right? Not mid-level. And so then when you start trying to express those ideas in that way as a child or as a teen, guess what? Everyone thinks you're fucking crazy. Everyone thinks that, what is this guy wasting so much time thinking about this or that? Why is he questioning all these social norms? Why is he questioning reality in and of itself? What's wrong with this person? So why is he questioning this group or that group or this in-group and this out-group? Or why is he questioning what an in-group is to begin with and what an out-group is? And, why is they constantly questioning the paradigm of the current timeline and situation? And so these people end up withdrawing. Right? So these people end up disconnecting because they find themselves in a world that's completely incompatible. They find themselves in a world that's, it can't meet my needs because my needs are in a different place. And every time I try to meet my needs, the world tells me, no, these aren't the needs you need met. You need these needs met. And it starts with the parents. And in my experience, it's like, okay, mom and dad want me to go do normative stuff, right? So they take me to the park. They as a kid, I go to school, so on and so forth. I do all these things. And so what ends up happening is I get diagnosed as a child with ADHD. And I get diagnosed as the child with ADHD because they're saying he can't focus on anything, right? He can't focus. And so the issue isn't the child can't focus. The issue is the child can't focus on what you want them to focus on.
Right.
So, and that's what's interesting. And so in my case as a child, I would be in a, say, class. The teacher would say something. Then whatever the teacher says, I start creating loose associations in my mind to other things having to do with that thing they said. And then I want to talk about something else. And I want to talk about this, and I want to do this. And then I start making jokes. And I start asking weird questions and curiosities and so on. And then I become a troublemaker / person that's interfering with class functions and stuff like that. So then the child gets punished, the child gets in trouble at home, the child gets disciplined, so on and so forth. It's the same situation like with, different types of social events, holidays, whatever the fuck have you. It constantly happens where that person becomes essentially a black sheep in the family or a person that doesn't get it or isn't in tune with what the value systems of that family or that household are or their local environment or whatever scale, right? So when that happens, what do you think is going to occur? If you even a normal person, if you were in a world in which your value systems and your idea of how to meet your needs doesn't exist around you and isn't reciprocated in any way, what's going to happen?
Withdrawal.
In your opinion?
depression, withdrawal. I guess you could probably try to look elsewhere for a value system, like maybe online.
You could, right? But when you're bombarded constantly with an incompatible one.
Right, yeah.
Because this is the issue. The issue is that the world's constructed around normative thinking. The framework that it's based off of on how to meet needs is normative.
Right.
There's a certain middle level of abstraction in which people exist, and the way those needs are met and expressed within family, within friends, within society in and of itself are incompatible to the person that is constantly abstracting, right? So something like love or friendship is not going to be viewed the same by the schizotypal or cluster A person as it would be, say, to the normative individual, and similarly as it would be to the autistic individual.
Right.
So the autistic individual's concept of what or how love or friendship is expressed is not going to be anywhere near the same as a normative person.
Right.
That's what's not being understood. These people are not people that are just indifferent or don't want friends or hate everything, or it's funny enough is that's what we end up doing to ourselves. I did that to myself in my 20s. I convinced myself that I didn't want any of these things, right? Because it's easier to believe that you don't want any of that shit than to know that you can never have your needs met. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, you're opting out of the game, essentially.
You're opting out of the game because the game isn't for you, right? And so one thing I'm discovering with this community that I built on Discord and the channel or whatever is that I'm getting people there that are going, hey, I relate to you. I relate to this. Oh, what's this community? Oh, I joined it. Oh, this is weird. This is strange. There's people here that talk like me and feel like me and express things like me and think about the things I think about. Oh, that's weird. And then over the course of a month or two of being on that server, they're like, wait, I'm actually feeling like I want to talk to people. I'm actually feeling like I want to make a friend. This is fucking weird. What's happening? I thought I hated the idea of making a friend. I thought I didn't agree with the concept of romantic feelings. I thought all these things that the DSM describes as detachment or disinterest or indifference, I thought I was all those things. When in fact I can develop all that sort of stuff. It just requires the right environment and context. And it's fucking insane because I'm seeing stuff happen on this stupid little server of mine that I guess has never happened ever for people that are like us ever. Because what's funny is that's what I recently did a video on, is that people like ourselves honestly have a place in society, or we used to before what are they always? What's the meme? The Industrial Revolution
and its consequences.
Yeah. So we were shamans. We were philosophers and crazy people that people listen to, spiritualists. Like, we were all these kind of very abstract sort of individuals that were seen as I don't know, sages or whatever you want to call it. They were people that thought outside the box, that were either thrown into a fire or hung, usually, or in certain points in time, depending on the individual, they helped with a paradigm shift, usually posthumously, or something, or they were talking about something that 20 years later they're like, oh, that's important, but that person's still on the street homeless. So and that's why you see a lot of these, and I don't mean to bring up anything controversial right now, but that's why you see a lot of these Unabomber memes.
Right.
That's why you see all the memes. People understand, because of the stuff he said, and the people are saying oh, look, Kaczynski was right or whatever, and all this stupid memeing.
That guy was definitely a cluster A of some kind, for sure.
No, he was for sure cluster A, but he was cluster A with paranoid. He was a paranoid cluster A that just lashed out at the world because the world didn't understand anything he was trying to say, and in a horrible decision, he decided, well, I'm going to make them understand.
Yeah, horrible
at least
decision.
In his mind.
We definitely do not condone.
No, zero condone. No. But what I'm saying is that that's what I mean. That was one of the unfortunate situations in which a person of that type exploded, quite literally.
Yes.
Some respect.
Yes.
And it's a really terrible thing because all that person might have needed was a manner in which to meet their needs. a manner in which to talk to people and be understood and make a fucking friend, right? Have like that's what's funny. Like that's all it is. It comes down to very similar types of needs, but they're just very abstract and very different in the manner in which they develop. One of the easiest ways I could explain it is the word I love you means generally nothing to a schizoid. Like right. The word itself is a mid-level abstraction. Doesn't mean shit.
Right. They haven't gone deep enough when they're saying it. Is that it? Like they don't really understand what they're saying. Because
this is okay. In my experience, I can't speak for everyone. In my experience, love, the idea of a love or a friendship or camaraderie, right? It isn't saying it. It isn't making a statement or giving it a title. It's oh hey, I saw this. I read this book or I saw this video, and it reminded me of you. Here's the link. And then they watch it and they go, wow, that reminds you of me. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mm-hmm. That is a way of expressing affection.
Right, yeah.
It's a very abstract way of expressing affection.
Right.
It doesn't require the words, hey, you're my friend, we are friends now. Mm-hmm. Let's be friends, let's do friend things. Mm-hmm. It's hard to explain.
No, I get it.
You get it, maybe. I don't know.
Let's see what my chat says.
Let's see. Go for it.
Actions, not words, baby. I have yes, one person in there understands. What do we think of this? Huh? What's the group consensus?
Well, how many people you got in chat anyway? Like,
there's people spamming.
Spam. Do the spamming.
Let's see. There's 100 people just.
I wonder how many are just calling me a virgin, Cluster A virgin or something.
No, they love you. Okay.
That's why it's funny. Like your segments that you do, like Schizopolitics.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so interesting. Is because when I watch it, I'm like, oh, okay, so Jreg, is it just Jreg, right?
It's pronounced different every time you say it.
Junior egg.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like Jreg. But when you're talking about schizopolitics, it's funny because all you're doing is abstracting the fuck out of politics. And the ideas and the concepts and the meta-narratives that are being built and so on and so forth. And the meta-frameworks, as you did in one video. Like, that's all you're doing. That's why that stuff is actually funny to me. Because right. I watch it and I go, oh, this guy's just talking about how I experience everything. He's just talking about it via politics. Cool. This is hilarious.
Good. I'm glad someone understands.
Well, no, a lot of people do, man. And like even in there's a few schizoids on the server that like your shit. So they were kind of happy to hear that you wanted to talk to me. Because they were like, yeah, that guy's funny. Like he gets how I see this or I see that. Like the idea of the anti-centrism?
Yeah.
Yeah, just that idea alone is so amazing and absurd, and that's what makes it interesting. Is this I'm not center, I'm far right and far left at the same time. Like it's just, and that's just how I perceive so much of everything, which is completely arbitrary and nonsense. But it's okay. That's the difference. That's why a lot of people that are cluster A fall into things like depression and Avolition, because sometimes they abstract so much that they end up in a world in which nothing matters because everything seems arbitrary and nonsensical. And so then they get black-pilled as fuck because of it, and they don't have to be. They don't have to be. Like I would consider myself an optimistic nihilist.
Right.
That is the realm I fall into.
Yeah.
Well, and it makes me feel good about life. A lot of people don't get that.
But. Yeah, no, I could definitely see that working. I mean, for me, of course, I can't relate to anything that's being said. When people, I love things are just how they are, and that's all they are. And
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that's literally that's how I feel about optimistic nihilism, which is basically, nothing in this universe is innately important in any subjective way, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Every day I wake up, my life is full of meaning. Everything makes sense. I use all these these words that everybody else uses, like love and and friendship, and then
So
I know what
good.
it means. So that's
so
good. I'm glad we can
That's
all
good.
agree upon that as my canonical personality for now. Can meta
That sounds
thinking
good.
also be observed in depression with detachment and everything? That's what somebody asks.
Well, what's
Yeah.
funny is that the schizoid has to kind of develop strong meta thinking and strong metacognition just to survive and adapt to their environment, especially if they're covert. Like if they're covert, like myself, I guess I would be considered a covert schizoid, meaning when I'm in the workplace, when I'm with family, I mask up, right? So I'm a friendly guy. I'm actually charismatic. I don't talk as I have a lot more intonation in my voice. I'm very exciting, and so on and so forth. I get things done that I want done because I compliment people. I know how to talk to them because I studied it. I studied them because I had no choice, because I didn't understand what the fuck was happening half the time. So I had to figure out, what do I have to say and do to make them stop asking me what's wrong with me.
Right.
So, and that's what you do. You become charismatic or interesting or whatever. But you're miserable, and it's energy draining and is exhausting. It's kind of like the same way, this is how I like to describe it. You know how, like, a lot of people that, have worked retail or any other kind of job like that have described, like, oh, I have to be some person I'm not to customers. Right? No matter how shit my day is, no matter what's going on at home, if I want to keep my job, I have to pretend like everything's fine, because otherwise they might complain and my boss will give me shit, right? That's what even regular people with depression or something like that, or having a tough day or week, say. Think like that, but it's your whole life, all the time, when you're socializing.
And is it a different person for, like, every human being you interact with, or every group of people you interact with? I mean,
group is more usually for, in my case, it's group based. So there's some people in which I can mask down a little bit more, other people in which I can't. That's how I fell in love with my wife, is because I didn't have to mask up as much as I had to with other people. And so then I was able to be myself more often. And, sometimes it wasn't very fun for her, since I was probably such a downer sometimes. But or I would always be like, hey, why are we doing this? This is dumb and boring or something. And she'd be like, you're a jerk.
Yeah.
But
my chat says they can't call you a schizoid A virgin because you have 2 kids. So.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. But you'd be surprised how many people will do it anyway. So, but not to shit on virgins. It's just a meme.
Of course, yes.
But yeah, that's just what it comes down to, man. Like, I'd like you to fucking ask me whatever the fuck you want about me and my fucking personal shit. I don't give a fuck, dude. Just ask whatever you want.
Well, I guess the
big... It'll help you.
Wait. One person says, "Are you masking now?"
No, I'm not. I'm actually not at the moment, because I've learned, especially during YouTube and things like that, this is just me. Fuck it. Like, because I've discovered that, actually, even going to work, my regular job, if I reduce my mass to a certain point, it's actually more helpful to me, because it's less energy draining. Right. And as long as my competence is high, then people don't really give a shit. Cool. Like usually at a job, you can just be like, oh, I'm that, pessimistic or guy or whatever, or that guy that doesn't get excited about, work groups and camaraderie, but he gets his shit done. He gets his shit done. He gets all the stuff done. He's very efficient, so on and so forth. Competence level high. And so it usually kind of counteracts, like, the social stuff a little bit. You kind of have to balance that out. It's weird. It's hard to... But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the big
part... But I'm not masking hard right now. I don't feel like I have to in front of the Jreg here. I don't think he gives a shit.
No, I really don't. I guess the big question is... as a schizoid person, I'm sure you've told the story a billion times. So, like, how do you get a wife? How do you end up having a wife and kids?
All right, I'll give you the story.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people that think they think I'm faking it or some bullshit. No, but what's funny is, dude, real quick before I tell you that story, this is what's funny.
Yeah.
When I started doing this, there were schizoids and other people, or especially if you look at the schizoid Reddit or something, there's people that thought, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's not schizoid. There's no way. Why would he be on YouTube? Why would he be talking to people? Why would he be trying to do something?
Yeah, make a community.
That's dumb.
That
he's faking it. Yeah. And I had people telling me, like, DMing me, that I was trying to exploit the schizoid community. And I'm like, And I just try to or exploit people that are schizoid, and I'm just like, are you fucking serious? This is the worst goddamn demographic possible to try to exploit.
Yeah,
they don't have any social media. they don't spend money on anything other than just surviving in video games and whatever external ways they can escape. And there's no community. What are you talking about? Like, there is no community to exploit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're playing the long game. You're making the community first.
No.
You make the community first, and then you exploit the community. I understand.
Yeah. You build but you know what I'm saying? Like, there was nothing, so it was always just a joke. It was like, what the fuck are they telling me? Like, who are these people? And it's the same thing. It's kind of like that whole. It turns into that whole kind of, if you're familiar with like the deaf community stuff, where it's like they're against auditory implants and stuff, because it's like damages the culture, the deaf culture.
Yeah.
So there's like these, and so me talking about like, oh hey, these adaptations could actually be overcome, and you can start meeting your needs is like, oh, you're fucking with the schizoid culture or something. I don't know
it is,
what a schizoid's supposed to be.
It is kind of an existential threat if someone has assumed that their life has to be a certain way for like 30 years, and then, like if
absolutely.
If it turns out
but
that
I'm
it doesn't
fucking
have to be
37, dude.
Yeah.
So fuck you, get over it. Like, I'm old as shit.
Right.
And I'm talking to people in their 20s telling me that shit. I'm like, you're in your 20s, man. Like, you can bloom. You can be a bloomer. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so the story. Yeah. So what happened is I met my wife. Which then just a friend through another friend, coworker, back when I worked at Blockbuster of all fucking places. Yes, Blockbuster. If anybody even knows on your chat what the hell that even is.
The Zoomer army is unaware of Blockbuster. What is a blockbuster?
What is a block? Oh, you mean like a film that does well? So I worked there, and then I met a friend, coworker, and then through him I met my wife, and basically I just told her straight up, because I liked her and I thought she was entertaining and enjoyable to be around, plus she had like really big titties. Mm-hmm. I told her, hey, I'm kind of fucking weird. I don't really like doing like a lot of stuff, this and this and that. Like, I did the scariest thing possible, which was tell the girl you like what the fuck you're about. And then she was like, yeah, that's cool, whatever, like, that's fine. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then it just went from there. And she's kind of a person that is kind of aloof, she has kind of an aloof personality. And because of that reason, she wasn't the type of girl that was telling me shit like, what are you thinking about? What are you feeling? What are you going through? Come out with my friends. Come hang out with my friends. So on and so forth. Like, that kind of shit. She let me do my own thing. And because of that reason, it gave me enough room and such to actually develop affection and feelings. Like, oh, I'm being understood. What the fuck? She actually is trying to understand what the fuck I'm about. That's cool. And so after that, feelings develop, so on and so forth, ups and downs of relationships, so on. Pump out one kid, pump out two kids. I mean, that's the end of the story, man. And now she knows about my shit. She gets it now. A lot of our relationships pretty fucking good at the moment, because a lot of stuff's been pieced together. Because unfortunately, man, it takes a toll. Like, you end up being, and I'm not saying that it wasn't intentional, but I ended up being very neglectful of her for many years because of this disconnect. Because I couldn't, because what ends up happening with a lot of schizoids is that instead of thinking, people experience life in a different way, and so, like, similarly that we wished they did to us, we think, oh, this is illogical, or this is stupid, or why are they even focusing on this? Or you turn, like, a lot of us turn into these fucking big brains that don't like, that shit on so much stuff, because we're like so just so disenfranchised and disillusioned with our existence. So we end up kind of turning against it in some regards, or other of us just become completely just indifferent to all of it. So it just kind of depends. Anyway, but yeah, I met her. That's it. I don't know what else. I mean,
I think that's that pretty much explains it to me. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, my chat says, you had me at big titties. Okay, so she wasn't going to babysit you. Cool. This is a poggers moment. Yeah, I think a success story sort of.
Oh,
Is,
I mean, yeah, that's what they see. It's a
Yeah.
schizoid success story
Yeah.
to a degree. I did it in reverse. That's the
Right.
problem, though. So, like, what I'm trying to help guys in their 20s and stuff do, and girls or whatever, is most zoids end up being guys, though, that I've come across. But there's plenty of girls.
I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah. So, oh, and by the way, we like the term zoids. I got it going. We like zoids.
Zoids.
But zoids, yeah,
I like that.
like almost like like the old shitty anime with the garbage CGI. Yeah, zoids.
Zoids.
Anyway, yeah, zoids. So yeah, when I talk about this as a success story or whatever, like I did it in reverse in the sense that I was trying I found a girlfriend, I got married, and I had kids before I was diagnosed, before I really worked out my shit about what the fuck is going on because none of that shit existed. Even if I had been diagnosed 15 years ago, there wouldn't have been anything for me to do, right, or look at. I probably would have just been even more depressed when I found out. But because I said, fuck this, I'm going to do something about it, I did it. And so I'm hoping that people in their 20s that haven't gotten to this point in their life can hash the shit out and find some needs met on a certain level before they make the decision of, all this stuff happening, or finding some fucking aspect of themselves before they can they get married and do all that stuff. So I got lucky is what I'm saying. I got fucking lucky, and it's probably not going to be the case for most people, because I can tell you right now it generally isn't from most people that I talk to. They're not. They don't have wives.
It's hard. But now they have something to look towards. That's the point of a success story. It's like this little dangling light.
Ugh, it's cringe, man.
Yeah.
Cringe as fuck.
Speaking of cringe, I need to talk to you about the Sigma male memes.
My hair?
No. I think. What do you think about the Sigma male memes and the?
Oh fucking Christ! Yeah. Okay, so I kind of get it. I kind of don't. I feel like the Sigma male it's two things. It's either a person that isn't an alpha but really wants to be and is a NEET that's sitting at home claiming they're a Sigma, or whatever the fuck it is, because all those labels don't mean shit anyway. Or it's a person that might be kind of cluster A that is high confidence and really isn't interested in normative shit, and they want some cool name attached to it, maybe. Like, I think Sigmas as a word, it's silly, but I think people like that exist. It's just that those are the same people that wouldn't be interested in calling themselves Sigmas. I think people that would... Yeah, I think people that are Sigmas would never label themselves Sigmas. They'd be so uninterested in the idea of labeling themselves anything like that.
It's the same thing with alphas, isn't it? Like, no alpha is going to call themselves an alpha. No alpha,
No, they don't have to. They don't have to. Why would that... you tell an alpha, hey, bro, you're an alpha, and he just look at you like, what's that stupid shit?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go fuck my big titty wife now.
Yeah, he hasn't been on Reddit for long enough to understand what you're talking about. So you got Well, also, I want to talk about introverts.
Dude, do it.
So when I hear
I saw your video. I saw your video.
Yeah. When I hear about
That's when I got in contact with you because you mentioned schizoid.
Yeah. When I think about schizoids, I think about a lot of personality disorders, like on the big 5 personality spectrum, sort of. I think to myself, schizoids seem to me to be very hyper on the introverted end of things, and also hyper on the open end of things, because everything is kind of like an abstraction and everything is everything else.
Yeah, because that's why we're in Cluster A. It's not a coincidence. It's funny because we got stuck in Cluster A and they don't even know why they put us there. It's just they withdraw similarly to schizotypals and paranoid schizophrenics. It's this is why. That's the key fucking thing that connects them all, is the abstract sort of thinking. Right. It's just, and this is a hot take, but I like to think of it as the mirror side to autism.
That's my hot take. We have the same hot take.
Yeah, it's all cognition, man. Yeah. That's what I'm working on right now. But that's what I was going to ask you,
because your friend Burb, they are autistic as well as schizoid.
Yeah. So their traits are spread. Their like cognitive traits are in the either a hyper abstract or hyper concretization. Mm-hmm. He's like he can't do middle level abstraction very well at all.
In terms of,
but literally, he's like an anti-cognitive centrist.
You can only occupy one of the extremes, and you have no middle ground. That's
like he can't do it. Like he can try. He has to consciously make an effort. It's difficult for him. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I'm more like my trait spread is like schizotypal to normative or middle abstraction. I'm not good at the hyper concretizing.
Right.
I suck at that. He's amazing at it. So that's why me and him do such good work, because I'll say something over here and he can get the stuff I say and hyper concretize it. And then I can get his hyper concretized stuff and then put it in the middle abstraction. Mm-hmm. And then like we can translate for each other and shit. And it works. And it turns into like, and the guy is like, he'll never fucking admit it, but I think the guy's a fucking genius. Mm-hmm. He's way smarter than I am. Mm-hmm. He's way fucking smarter than I am. He'll never admit it. But
Interesting. That's what when I break things off into like say openness versus closeness, I associate closeness, I guess, with being hyper concretizing. I like that word, by the way. What do you say?
That's the word we use all the time. Concretization and abstraction.
Is that a word? Concretization?
Yes. Well, I think so. Even if it's not, it should be. Who cares?
Yeah, no, that should be a word.
But I have another word that describes me incredibly well that we came up with. Is diogenistic. I'm diogenistic.
And that just means like masturbating in a barrel.
Well, it could, but it just means that like social norms are accepted as arbitrary and nothing really matters, and that's okay. And you almost want to point it out to people because it's annoying if you don't.
Right.
But it's like, you know, I think that's all he was doing, Diogenes. He was just like, none of this matters. Why doesn't anybody understand that? And then he would just get really mad and ornery about it. But what were you saying? Oh, the concretizing thing. So
right, yeah.
This is what's interesting. Is like if you get like if you get like a subject, let's just say, I don't know, baseball, right? Something simple. If you get baseball, somebody that is hyper concretizing might specialize specifically on an aspect of baseball, which would be like maybe bats, right? How bats function, why bats are made the way they are, why they're shaped the way that the weight they need to be, the type of wood they need to be made out of, so on and so forth. So you hyper concretize on a specific aspect of the middle abstraction, which is baseball, right? The middle abstraction is baseball. And the hyper concretization is the pitching. Let's just say pitching, right? So the hyper abstraction of baseball would be sports, sports ball, the joke sports ball, which is like, why does it have to be a baseball? Why do they have to use mitts? Why do they have to run around this diamond? What purpose does that serve? Why does that shape of a diamond? Why can't it be a square? Why can't it be a rectangle? Why can't they throw an orange? Why do they have to use a wooden bat? Why can't they use a sausage? Like it's just it's absurd, but it's these ideas of like questioning the meta of the fucking situation.
Right.
And the normative person just sits there and goes, I just want to watch baseball. It's cool. I like to see the wood hit the ball and it flies and they run and they make a score and it makes me feel good. And so that's kind of what happens there. And so like when you're talking to somebody that's more autistic, it usually becomes they start detail spiraling on something. Mm-hmm. So like you'll have a conversation about something philosophical or an idea, and they'll detail spiral on a specific thing that's like logically incongruent or inconsistent, and then they'll want to like really, really hone in on that and focus on it, especially if it's their special interest. It comes down to special interest. And what's funny too is with the abstractors, it's the same situation. It's special interest. Like if you want to make a Cluster A person feel like, say you have a brother or a sister or something that you think is schizoid, the only way that you can effectively show them that you give a shit about them, in my opinion, is by seeing what their special interests are and then understanding their special interests and then going, hey, I also think that's good. Or here's a gift associated to your special interest that I know you could appreciate in your own specific way, or something like that. Or talking to them about their special and letting them ramble on about something, and then trying to understand and trying to talk to them at that same level, even though it could be really difficult because we get a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
So
are you saying that you say both the hyper-concrete and hyper-abstract, they both have special interests? The hyper...
a lot of the time, I feel like usually, not always, but oftentimes, but the special interests of the abstractor is usually abstract. So it'll be like film. It'll be literature.
Do you ever see a hyper-concrete person getting zoned in on something that's abstract, like a specific branch of philosophy, or is that must be?
No, yeah, they can do that. Can happen, but like if I talk to Burr, for example, about philosophy, I don't keep track of the names of philosophers. I don't keep track of the dates in which those happened, the timeline of events. Even history, because I have a master's in history, right?
Oh.
And yeah, doesn't matter. So as a person, the reason I love history is because I love concepts and ideas and how trends happen and how human progress develops and so on and so forth. You start asking me for dates, people's names, faces, specific events in a timeline, I fuck up. I'm an idiot. Mm-hmm. Like I'm terrible. You ask an autistic person that specializes in specific segments of history. Oh, they're gonna be able to tell you the fucking dates, the names, the locations, the geography, the weather that day, so on and so forth. But if you ask them for like a more meta explanation of what it is that they're studying or why they're studying it, they're just gonna look at you like, why does that matter? Mm-hmm. What matters is that this happened on this day at this time, not why. Like, why are you asking why that matters? Like that question, that's what I do. I sit there and I like historical theory, right? More than actual history, I think.
Right. Or like not knowing anything about any political parties across the world, but knowing a lot about political theory, for example. Like that's just a random.
Oh yeah, like I know a lot about political theory and ideas like that, because when somebody tries to teach me about a specific set of politics of a specific group, I'm just like, this is boring. Why do I care?
Right.
Like this is just one branch of a fucking tree. Mm-hmm. Like why do I want to look at the branch?
Right.
That's not like that's not interesting to me. But we need people that do that, and we need people that do. That's kind of the white pill I try to tell people, is that we're all useful. All forms of cognition, for the most part, are useful in their own different fields. And if people started metacognating and going, oh, hey, look, this guy thinks like this. This is more useful over here. Let's ask him if he wants to be over here, not over here. Let's not try to put him over here. Mm-hmm. Let's try to ask him where he wants to be put instead. So...
Yeah, before, anyway. If you were schizoid, we could give you either a quick death in the fire, or you get to be the town shaman. I mean, you had your
institutionalized,
yeah.
or something like that. At least you had boxes to go in.
Yeah, exactly.
Like now we don't even have boxes. Now it's just like, oh, you're just crazy. Here's a bunch of medication.
Right.
Or whatever. That's why I want my other hot take is I think all cognitive stuff should be taken out of Cluster A as a disorder.
Right.
Just the only thing that should be in Cluster A as a disorder is the avolition, the withdrawnness, all the stuff that makes that person's life depressing and hard and difficult to enjoy. Mm-hmm. That should be in the PD. So not the way they think. The way they think is not a personality disorder.
So the Cluster A is currently grouped as withdrawal, but it should be grouped as abstraction.
No. I'm saying Cluster A should be it should be withdrawal. It's just the abstraction stuff should be taken out of there because it's not a fucking personality disorder.
Yeah.
It's just a way of it's just cognition, man.
So
like it has nothing to do with a disorder.
So I guess my question, one question might be like, at what point? Because everybody, experiences certain things to a certain degree. So at the point where it starts interfering with your life, that's when it becomes a disorder, right? Like when it negatively
the reason it starts interfering with your life isn't because of your cognition usually. Mm-hmm. It's because of your adaptations to the external environment regarding that cognition. So yeah, you might become paranoid because no one understands you ever. And so then you have these ideas that kind of spiral out of control in conjunction with comorbids and other issues that you have. Same thing with like say you have auditory hallucinations or something like that, right? If you lived in a world in which they would discuss them as this is just a part of how you experience life, your abstractions are turning into a hallucinatory thing. Let's talk about it. Let's so on and so forth. Yeah, they might not feel as fucking on edge about their situation all the time.
Well, that's what the hearing voices movement's about, right? Like they are people who have auditory hallucinations, but they have a community of people who have auditory hallucinations, and they accept it as part of their lives instead of trying to get rid of them.
No, and that's what's interesting too, is that if you look at various cultures, and depending on the culture and the environment, schizophrenic positive symptoms are different. Yeah. And they actually show up, the hallucinations and so on, the auditory stuff shows up as different. It doesn't necessarily come out as negative or harmful and I think honestly it's just a reflection of how their external environment deals with them. That those I think a happy schizophrenic person will have less intrusive and less violent and less aggressive, negatively aggressive hallucinations. I really do. Because that's why there's a lot of schizophrenic people out there that have normal lives that deal with their voices in that kind of hearing voices sort of way. Because maybe they grew up in an environment that wasn't as hostile to their situation, perhaps, or they just overcame it somehow. I don't think they're inherently negative. Like I don't think the voices have to be like super vicious and negative. Because if you go to India, if you go to other parts of the world where people deal with the same kind of positive symptoms, they come out differently. They come out based on the individual's characteristics and their experiences with the external. But that's another hot take too.
I mean, it's no coincidence that in the West, if you have paranoid delusions, you're probably going to think that the CIA or FBI are after you. It's not
it's always something like that. The CIA, the government.
It's not like your brain is hardwired to know, like from birth, what a CIA is. It's clearly some cultural element playing.
Yeah. So if you're in India, you're going to have other sort of. It's going to be whatever your local government is, or the name of your stuff. And that are authorities or the individuals that would try to enforce normative frameworks upon you. They're going to be the people that are coming after you, regardless, or a religious institution, right? If you grow up in a religious environment or something, or God himself, you might become paranoid of.
Someone in my chat says you can hallucinate without being schizophrenic, and
yeah, you could.
They also say they've had a schizoid boyfriend in the past. Mostly a chill dude, very quiet to most people, honestly. That's
yeah, we're usually pretty chill. You know what? That's what's funny, man. You want to know the reason why nobody does anything about our situation? Like why there isn't good studies or understanding or an active community or anything? Like it's just kind of the most forgotten PD in the fucking world. You want to know why? I can give you the exact reason why.
Why is that?
That it is because we don't generally have a positive or negative effect on our locale in our environment. So in other words, if somebody's I don't know, BPD or NPD or whatever, they're going to have some effect on their environment, whether it's negative or otherwise or dramatic, or in some it's going to affect the family somehow in some dramatic fashion. So it's going to be more interesting, more exciting. Psychiatrists are going to want to work on it. Psychologists are going to want to work on it, so on and so forth. The schizoid, what are they going to do? They're not going to talk to anybody. They're going to keep themselves. They're going to withdraw. Yeah. How is that going to be interesting? In fact, I don't have the link to it right now. There was a study that talked about how why it is that schizoid clients tend to drop out of therapy or get dropped by their psychologists. And it was basically because the psychologist oftentimes loses interest in their client. They lose interest in their client because their client doesn't seem to be making any progress according to them. And by progress, it means that the client's not enjoying or changing their behaviors in a way that's congruent with what should make them meet their needs.
Right.
But the problem is they're looking at it completely wrong because they're not trying to help them meet their needs in their own way. They're trying to make them meet their needs in a normative way, which is not going to fucking happen.
Right.
Like going out with friends, having a walk, breathing fresh air, like isn't going to really do it necessarily. Mm-hmm. Like, having, the normal suggestions aren't going to fucking cut it. And so then when they don't see any progress, the psychologist gives up. Right. And they think, oh, this person isn't miserable. They're content with their situation. Mm-hmm. Obviously,
I'm gonna let's concretize this example from my
audience.
Okay, so let's say a schizoid person is being encouraged to by their therapist or whatever to go for a walk, take in a deep breath and try to meet new people, go to an arts club.
Yeah, meet new people. That's always good. Meet new people. Okay.
And what the schizoid person, let's say, has no interest in doing that.
Well, there's a reason they don't, because they know that if they do, let's just say they do it. Let's say fuck it. They decide I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. Because they don't realize yet. They think there's because a lot of the times we think there's something wrong with us, like we're damaged or broken, right? We're something wrong with us, and so then we go, okay, well, my psych says I should go talk to more people. Okay, so I'm going to go talk to more people. So then you go and you think in your head, like you have all these scenarios and ideas of how it's going to go down and so on and so forth. So then you show up and you go there and you go to the concert or the thing or the whatever event, and then you start talking, right? You start saying, hey guys, what about this? Hey, what's that? Huh? Oh, wait. Oh, I shouldn't talk about that? Oh, okay. Oh, maybe I should just be quiet. Oh, they looked at me weird. Okay, maybe that's not something to discuss. Oh, I'm not, or announcing something or saying something or proclaiming something becomes like a faux pas of some kind amongst the group. And then you're just like, oh, okay. And then you try to say something. And even if they're not upset with you for saying it, they look at you like, I don't understand what you're saying. Mm. What are you talking about? And then you're like, oh, they don't understand what I'm saying. They don't understand anything I'm saying. Mm. They don't care about the things I care about. I better just be quiet. And then you just be quiet. And then you're like, why did I go? I didn't have any fun. No one talked about any of the things that interested me in any capacity. And when I tried to express them, it was just like, oh, okay, why are you saying these things? Mm-hmm. Why are you talking about this? Who cares? Mm-hmm. That's boring. Or they just give you weird looks. That's what happened. That's my entire teenage years.
Right.
Like, it was that. And so then you end up feeling like, why did I try?
Yes.
It's just the same thing over and over and over.
Okay, so you hit that brick wall. What might an example though be of pursuing their goals in a way that does fit their the way they think? Okay.
Well, now I guess the only suggestion I can make at the moment, because I'm not sure how many directions I could take it in, is, well, one, I could show myself and say join my server, so you can find a bunch of people that like to talk about things the way you do, possibly, and then you can just chill. Mm-hmm. But also, if you want to exist in the outside world on a greater capacity, the only way I can think of is kind of understanding that other people think a certain way. They live in a certain level of abstraction. You're over here and trying to meet them in the middle ground. And when you talk about your special interests, so maybe go to places where there's a specific interest in mind. If you want to talk about philosophy, not social stuff, not everyday water cooler type shit that kind of makes the world go around seemingly. If you want to talk about like your interest, join a group of people that talk about that interest and try to keep them on that task. And that's it. Like when you talk to them, stay on the task of the interest. And then maybe you can have something you can, by proxy, make some kind of connection to some of these people. But I can't promise you that you're going to feel understood or any of that, because you're probably going to have to tone down the amount of abstraction you're doing and things like that, or the conversations. Dude, you should listen to Schizoid Conversations. It's the funniest fucking shit in the world. Like, if you're, like, aware of it. Like, a Schizoid conversation starts like this. It'll be, hey, man. Oh, so this thing. Okay, let's talk. And so then they start talking about that thing. By the time an hour goes by, they went from some, I don't know, a book to existential philosophy or some insane shit, like some other direction entirely or completely different category and subject. It'll just like shift constantly, like a fucking weird blob. And then neither person, when both people are like that, neither person questions the directions in which everything is going. It's just, oh, okay. Oh, we're talking about this now. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, now it's this. Now it's this. Now it's that. Now it's this. Oh, okay. Like there isn't wait a minute. What are you talking about? There isn't a moment where everyone's like, wait, where are we? I thought we were talking about this. That doesn't happen. It just goes. It just goes where it goes. And it's pretty fun, man. And it feels good. It feels good for somebody that's like that.
My chat has some things to say. One says that's the randomizer on steroids, common in autism too. Randomizer effect. I don't know what that is. Randomizer effect.
I'm not sure what randomizer
and then,
is. Autism too sounds funny though.
And then another person says, "Is that not just a normal conversation?" And I guess my follow-up would be, if you have two people who are more, I guess, what I would say open, like more abstract in thinking, and they're talking, I mean, the conversation would sound like that, probably not to the same extreme, but probably would sound a little bit like that. So I guess
we spiral though. Like that's the thing. We'll spiral into the meta, like without in a fucking heartbeat, and it won't even change the pace of the conversation.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
And I don't know how to explain it. It's just you'd have to just hear. I don't know. There's no way to hear it, but if you listen to some of my streams, you can kind of see it happening sometimes. It's pretty funny.
What would happen if you just had that kind of schizoid thinking without having the negative symptoms of withdrawal and anhedonia and all that? What was there a word for that, or
you would just be a cluster A person that usually if you have none of that stuff, it's because for whatever reason, I can't even imagine not having none of that stuff. Right. I'm trying to think of a situation where none of that would occur because the only thing I can think of is that there's probably people out there, right, whether celebrities or otherwise, that have this sort of thinking, but their special interest, talent, or skill set happens to coincide with current trends and paradigms. And so because of that, they become, you know what they become? They usually become the celebrity or artist that is renowned that nobody understands and calls eccentric.
What I was going to say,
and then behind the scenes they're depressed and hate their fame, hate their life, don't enjoy anything. And, they're sitting around their $1 million mansion going, why the fuck am I here?
Yeah, I can't relate to that.
No, I can, but I of course not. I can't either.
But one thing I wanted to say was, if somebody, especially in 2021 in the modern day, has a specific kind of personality disorder or mental illness that is like socially valuable, then it's almost like they'll probably never know because they can just keep exhibiting their mental illness.
Well, that's what's funny is the disorder. That's the issue right there. What you said, the disorder is never going to be beneficial to themselves or anybody else. It's the cognition.
Yeah.
That's what needs to be separated. You get me?
Yes.
Like the negative symptoms aren't ever going to be positive for or good for themselves or society. Like it's never going to be a good thing. It's the cognition that could be useful.
Right.
So a happy schizoid, or not schizoid, but a happy cluster A thinker is going to be a person that is having their needs fulfilled by having friends that understand them, by having a romantic maybe partnership that understands them, by having a job or a purpose in life that is congruent with their value system. That's what you're going to get. That's how you're going to get a happy, abstract, open, whatever thinker.
Right.
That's how you're going to get that person. It's just we don't live in a world where that's very easy to make happen.
Right.
Unless you happen to, again, if you have a special talent where people, I guess, celebrate you because of it. Why do you think there's so many famous artists and stuff that just fucking are misanthropes? But yet, like, or whatever you want to call them, yet, their art is so renowned or understood. Like, I mean, look at one example is like Van Gogh. Look at Van Gogh. Guy was fucking a miserable wretch, right? And he had, he was described to be highly eccentric and dealing with psychosis and all kinds of stuff, right? but he was just trying to display the beauty of certain things in his own abstract fashion. And at the time, nobody really understood it. Posthumously, everyone started understanding it, and then fucking guy died miserable and alone. Instead, it could have been a world in which somebody out there could have found him that understood him, and he might have not had. Maybe he would have created the same art, but not died miserable and fucking alone.
I want to take a couple minutes and get more abstract from where we are now. I want to zoom out one layer. And I want to
zoom out as many layers as you fucking want. That's my life, man.
I want to contextualize the clusters because I don't know too much about clusters. We've talked about cluster A. Can we do a brief overview of the other clusters? Just like a very, very brief.
B is okay. Let me dive into my memory. B is like considered the bad one, but that's a little dodgy too. But those are people that are narcissistic, NPD, borderline, as well as antisocial personality disorder.
Okay.
So what's interesting about the only one there that I think there's a cognition-related situation is probably antisocial personality disorder,
right?
To a certain degree. But I don't know enough about that to really talk about it in any significant way. Clusters.
One of the reasons I wanted to zoom out was because you said a high openness is you might call that cluster A thinking. If you
that's all I can think of because there's no word for it.
I like that word.
Autism. There's no autism equivalent.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure out what you might call that, like divorced from maybe the high. The neuroticism.
Maybe abstractors. That's another word too.
But no, I like cluster A thinker. And I guess my question is like, for example, what would you call sort of the autistic form of thinking then? Like, is that a cluster C? Like, what is?
No, there is no cluster. That's the point.
Right.
Oh, you just hit it on the fucking head right now. You want to know what you hit on the head? Is that autism is treated as an issue regarding cognition, not as a personality disorder, right? Okay, it's not. It used to be considered like oh, hey, you're retarded or something, right? But no, it's changed into something where it's a person with a different form of cognition that have different value systems and different set of priorities because their thinking is different, and so we should understand that and work with that, right? That's how you deal with. But people that are cluster A, it's just understood as a personality disorder. It's not understood as this is a cognitive difference. And it should be respected and talked about as such. So there is no autism type framework built in for the cluster A person. It doesn't exist.
Right? Why do you think we figured this out and the DSM-5 people haven't?
Well, because they're stuck in their ways, man. Like they're stuck, and this is the issue too, is that like and maybe because an autistic person, I don't know, I'm not sure. Maybe they're a little more manageable as a person because you can kind of keep them on their special interest focus, and they're not sitting there questioning everything all the time. They're just sitting there trying to concentrate on their special focus and be in it all the time, right? And make that a part of that's their emotional stability right there. That's their value system. That's their emotional stability. It's not getting hugs and getting attention like the same way a normal person seeks. Like for example, I have I'm not going to get into it, but there's somebody in my life that is autistic, right? That they're young. And the way I express my affection to them is by listening to them when they talk to me about their special interests. They go to me because they know I'll listen, right? And so they want to talk about Pokemon, right? So they'll go up to me and they'll tell me, I got this new Pokemon and it does this, and these are the stats, and this is how it works, and blah, 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 right? Real exciting. And I listen and I go, man, that's awesome. That's really cool. Like, oh, you should catch another one. That's really good. You're good at this game. Like, I'll tell him stuff like that. Reinforcing that he's good at his special interest makes him feel profoundly good. It makes him feel happy. That meets needs for him. Me telling him, oh, you're such a great kid. You're so smart. You're so wonderful. That doesn't mean shit for him. I'll tell you that right now. That just slides right off of him. He's just like, the fuck is this? I'm talking about Pokemon. Like, and if you tell him you're good at that thing, wow, you're so good at it. Like, you're doing great. Keep it up. Keep going. That makes him feel fucking good, man. That's why he comes to me to tell me this shit. Because he knows I'm going to affirm and validate his special interest for him. In a way that maybe other people don't really understand how to. And Messi, I just went off into the weeds again. What was the thing you were saying?
I can't remember, but no, that makes a lot of sense. That's
you were saying you were asking about,
you know, if you can imagine just being able to meet someone's needs deeply just by listening to them. I mean, it's such a simple thing to do that we absolutely fail at
and
a
it's
lot
not
of the time.
because you're listening. It's like it's not in that kind of middle abstraction way of like you're listening to me, so you make me feel special.
Right.
It's more like you're listening to me. I feel understood, which in turn validates my existence.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a totally different kind of need being met, in a really kind of different layer. Similar need, different layer of abstraction or concretization.
Right.
Yeah.
We were talking about because I've been trying to figure out like words for like overly open, or like open to the point of it being complete, like noticeably different in terms of like you're so high in abstraction that everything is an abstraction. It's like it's probably negative. And I always conceptualized it as like a autism over here, schizophrenia over here, something like that. Schizo whatever. Yeah.
Dude, the best one of the easiest analogies or whatever, or metaphors, I don't know what the fuck you would call it. Okay, you know that old saying, what is it? You can't see the trees from the forest?
Yeah.
Right? That's what they say? Right, is it trees from the forest or forest from the trees?
One of them.
One of them, who cares? So this is how I like to conceptualize it. The autistic person is inside of the fucking tree looking at the microbes. They're looking at the fibers of the tree, studying them, understanding how the tree itself functions on a micro level, right? The normative person is walking through the forest, looking at the trees, looking at everything around them, right? The abstractor is in a drone flying above the forest.
Right, yeah.
Like, and they're just looking at all the fucking trees and where the landscape goes and where is this and where is that, and they don't have time to go down there and look at each individual tree. There's so many trees to look at. How the fuck why am I gonna waste my time down there looking at one or two trees when I can look at 30,000 trees?
Right.
So that's kind of like what sort of happens. And it's not like you're just stuck there forever, but there are ways to kind of navigate that spectrum of cognition a little bit. Like you have leeway, right? You can kind of wedge yourself a little bit over here, but it might take more conscious effort. Like I have to be more conscious when I want to concretize more. Like I have to actually think, okay, breathe. All right, let's focus. Let's look at this. Meanwhile, the abstracting stuff is just like all the time, not normal. That's just my normal state. I
like your analogy. I think that,
I mean that because I figure it's a good one because it goes with the saying that people are familiar with.
Yes. So, to take that to its extreme, the autistic person has shrunk to the size of an atom and is in the waveform, in the quantum foam of reality. And then
I mean it depends on how deep they go. Like there's different levels of depth. It depends on how deep and focused the autistic person is on that.
The schiz person is like they're on the moon and then they're like in the galaxy and
they could be on the moon or they could just be in a drone. Because that's the thing. If they're on the fucking moon, they're probably not that functional. Usually in that state, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Some of us can go to the moon and then
I've gone too far.
Go back,
and
then go back, and then be like, okay, I got to be around here if I want to function.
Yeah, because
I can't be over here. Because over here, it's just not. It's the same thing with.
Yeah.
If
you get too meta, if you get too concrete, both ways, you will eventually.
You can't function too great. Yeah, so you have to be able to and that's one of the things I think kids that are like this should be helped with, which is how do I navigate my cognition to a way that I can work within stupid normative society in any capacity, because that's not changing anytime soon. We don't live. I don't see in my lifetime a social framework constructed around cognition, which would be a lot better, or metacognition.
Well, that sounds like it should be a thing already, but it's not.
No, it definitely should be a thing, but good luck, right? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing to put my pebble in the fucking lake.
Exactly. You know what? I think we live in a ripe time for theory creation and new theories to sprout
fucking
out.
internet, man. That's the only reason that schizoids or schizos are able to find each other is because the internet allowed it. Otherwise, how would you find anyone that's like this? Half the time we're hiding it.
Yeah.
So then how the fuck would you even find other people like you if you wouldn't even know?
Yeah.
What's funny is that there's probably schizoids out there that have met people in their life that probably would have understood them. But both of them were masking.
Right.
So, and then it's just like, oh, okay, you're just another one of them. You're just another one of them.
Okay.
So on.
I want to talk about medications. How did they try to like give me your general history?
Okay, so I only take meds for I take Prozac. I'm a basic bitch. Yeah. So I take meds for my anxiety. In my 20s, I was suffering with constant panic attacks, nonstop. And what's funny is that even the reasons for my panic attacks were highly abstract, which was existential dread, right? It was always existential dread. It was thoughts about death and existence and what it means to be human and what the fuck am I and why do I have this body and why was I born and so on and so forth. And all these fucking thoughts would cause depression and anxiety and panic attacks, right? And night terrors, all kinds of shit. So for years I went to therapy for anxiety. I've taken everything from Zoloft to Paxil to now Prozac, which is the only thing that's ever leveled it out. And so now I don't deal with them as much, as well as because it's funny that dealt with the chemical issues of fear that come with anxiety and the adrenaline. But I had to navigate the existential stuff philosophically inside my own mind. And that's how I got to the nihilism that makes me feel good now. So, but in any case, and not to be confused with some cynical version of nihilism that some people espouse in order to.
No, I'm not like the other nihilists, baby. I'm cool.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's like a certain people that are nihilists, but they're also cynical. So in other words, it's like nothing matters. So who cares if I do this awful thing all the time?
Yeah, nihilism being brought with a lot of philosophical baggage that doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. And there could be it could be But anyway, what was I saying? What were you asking me again? Fuck. This happens to me, man, because like I'm trying to have like a more middle abstraction.
Wait, hold on. This is what the chat's for. Chat. What were we talking about?
Jesus Christ.
Medications. Right.
Medication. Yeah. So I'm starting to think you're fucking like this. Anyway,
no.
So the medication stuff. Yeah, that's all I've ever taken. I've never had to take antipsychotics or anything because I don't deal with positive symptoms. So because I don't deal with positive symptoms, I've had a psych break. So I've definitely had a psychotic break before.
But you never had positive symptoms.
But I've never had positive.
What was that like?
That's why I've never. What was what like?
Well, the psychotic break. What was that like for you?
Oh, well, so the psychotic break was an anxiety-driven one, so it was pretty fucked up. For about a week straight, I was afraid of everything and anything. So basically, I woke up one morning, and everything I'd looked at, I would abstract to the point where it became terrifying.
Right.
So it would happen, but for some reason, my brain was only going in really negative, terrifying directions. So it would just go like if I thought about, like, I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking about a crayon box, right? And then I would be like, there's so many colors, but there's millions and millions of shades of color. It's an infinite amount of colors that exist within a crayon box at the same time. And then I started relating that to my cognition and my existence and everything else. And then it became just like total existential dread. From point A, it would always end at point B, which is existential terror. So anything I looked at, whether it was a TV screen, whether it was technology, whether it was my foot, like it would just turn, it would abstract out into existential terror. And I did that shit for like a week. And luckily, due to my sheer tenacity, I didn't get institutionalized, and I went to work and I had a baby. And I pushed through it. Like, because what I did is I hyper-concretized the entire week, like consciously on whatever I was doing, whatever task I was doing, in order to not let my mind abstract during that week. And I was terrified because I thought, am I stuck like this? I can't live like this. And then eventually it went away. I don't know why, but after doing that for an extended period of time, there was like residual effects for a while of like anxiety attacks and stuff, but it went away. And then, I got the help I needed for the anxiety and everything else. And that's the end of that. But that was fucking horrible, dude. Like I would just like look at a car or anything, literally fucking anything. Like, and I would just abstract out of control and it always go into some fucked up direction. The best way I can put it is, are you familiar with Junji Ito?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know a little bit about him.
Yeah.
Okay, have you read some of his stuff?
Yeah, I read a lot of his stuff, yeah.
Okay, so you know what he does where he gets like a very simple concept and then he abstracts it to make it terrifying?
Yeah, like a spiral. That's
what was happening for like a week to me.
Yeah.
So everything I looked at would turn into this like super fucking scary thing. That's what happened during that week of psychosis. That sucked. That's about it.
I've never heard. Well, I've never heard of a psychotic break like that, but it makes sense. And I guess you could call.
I couldn't fuck, dude. I was so fucked.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. Like my mind was broke for that week.
But when you say that delusion, well, I guess it's not a positive symptom because it's like delusional thoughts.
Well, it's not hallucination.
Yeah,
it's
yeah. But I guess
I couldn't control my own mind.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of
I had zero control over my mind, and it would just start. And then the feelings associated to these abstractions would feel very real.
Yeah.
Like my brain was convincing of itself. There's a threat. There's a threat. Run, hide, threat.
Right.
And then terror would mount and panic attack.
It's like it sounds like one step away from actual like paranoid delusion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens with a lot of paranoid people is I think what happens is they see something and then they start abstracting it out to their fears and other things, and then they start thinking it's connected because it's all about loose association. When you abstract like crazy, you create loose associations like mad, right? You start going like, this is connected to this, and this is connected to this, and this is connected to that, and this is all. But the problem is that nobody's helping those people go, yo, man, just because things are tangentially connected doesn't make them actually connected on a middle abstraction level.
Right.
So you need to calm down, you need to relax, you need to chill, bro. Like, that's...
Everything is like everything else, man. Whoa.
No, but that's how you get fucked up,
yeah.
Right? Because nobody's helping you train your cognition. Nobody's helping you with your shit. Everyone around you is just going, what the fuck are you saying, man? Like, what is this? What are you doing? Right. And then you're just like, you know?
Yeah, I wonder if you've ever, I want to talk about negative symptoms. Tell me about, like, what's Anhedonia like?
Oh, man, that's super fun. Okay, so basically, if you want to talk about that, it's when, in my case, because it's different for other people, some people have it for, like, what seems to be perpetually. Other people are triggered. It's triggered by specific set of events or stressors. But basically what happens is when I feel overwhelmed by either positive or negative feelings or just too much emotion, but I have nowhere to discharge it because I can't explain it to anyone around me in any way that would make any sense generally. What happens is that my body just goes into shutdown. And then my brain goes, whoa, too much emotion, shutdown time. And then you just numb the fuck out. From like you can't feel good, you can't feel bad, you just can't feel. So it just depends. Or in my case, I'm unique in that case is that anger for some reason is still in me. I used to be angrier, but internally, not like, abusive or anything crazy. And so it was a lot of cold rage. So I would just feel nothing but anger, and then all positive, everything would just drain out of me. And I would just sit there furious with the fact that I even exist. And wanting to not exist, essentially. Yeah. So, and then I couldn't feel, like I wanted to feel bad. I wanted to feel good. I wanted to feel something, but all I could feel was anger. But in most people's cases, they just feel nothing. It's just dead.
Right. So it's not just not being able to feel good. It's not being able to feel at all.
Yeah. So even like you can sit there like, okay, here's a fucked up example. It's like that I've heard many people tell me. It's like something bad happens to you, right? You start welling up like you want to cry, right? But then your brain goes, this ain't happening. And then you can't cry and you shut down.
Right.
And then you're just sitting there going, why am I not crying? I felt like I was about to cry. Now I can't feel anything. What fucking happened? And then you just sit there and nothing brings you pleasure or sadness. And you wish you could cry because you want to cry, because you want the catharsis of crying, but you can't do it.
How do you, I know that like avolition is a big part of it. Do you experience avolition?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's that lack of motivation.
Yeah. Like avolition, like you don't want to do anything. How do you do work when you're feeling avolition?
I just fucking do it.
Yeah.
I'm miserable the whole time. I just drag myself. I make myself do it. Like it's literally just a chore. Like it's literally like I drag myself in the situation. But not everyone. I'm not saying fucking pull yourself up by your fucking bootstraps type bullshit. Because not everyone can do it, man. Not everyone has that level of tenacity or pain tolerance or whatever you want to call it. But, and like I mentioned in one video I did, is like people tell you to pick you up by your bootstraps, but the problem is when you look down and you don't have any boots on.
Right.
Right. And that's what's happening a lot of the time is you don't have boots. So what the fuck do you hang on to? So in my case, I just fucking do it. I concretize on the task that's in front of me, and I try to ignore all the feelings telling me I don't want to complete this. None of this matters. Why am I breathing? Why am I doing anything? I try to fucking get those. I push out those sort of abstract thoughts and just concretize very difficult on the task at hand, because I know I kind of hold on to the notion that the avolition will eventually fade away, and that I might actually feel motivated again, and that this isn't a perpetual state. This is just a current state. And I'm going to regret not completing the task because of it, because if I allow myself to just be totally encompassed by it. Like I kind of think long term. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I kind of think ahead. Like I go, oh, if I don't do this because I don't want to do it now because I don't feel motivated to do anything, later I'm going to feel like shit about it when I do feel motivated to do something.
Right. Well, it's funny that you had been diagnosed with ADHD at one point, because that's kind of like the opposite thinking pattern of an ADHD person. Like they can't make that bridge to the long-term reward system.
No, well, you want to know something fucking funny, man? It's another hot take. ADHD people or kids that are diagnosed ADHD, probably the vast majority of the time, I don't know, but or at least a portion of the time, they're just cluster A kids.
Interesting.
Because of what I said. It's not that they can't focus. It's that they don't want to focus on what you want them to focus on. That's what I was as a kid. I was diagnosed ADHD because as a kid, it was like, this child won't sit down and talk about the things we want him to talk about. This child won't interact in the way that we want him to interact. He just wants to talk and laugh and do these things about all these different things. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't just see, I don't know how to explain it. There's always so many questions and so many ways that my mind can go, even as a child, that I'm trying to explore all of it, right? And then everyone's just looking at you like, oh, wait, this kid's just out of control, or he's not paying attention. He can't focus. It's like, no, he's just not interested in the shit you want him to focus on. He's interested in all this other shit that he sees. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I do think there's probably a lot of things ADHD could be beyond just cluster A. I'm not sure why.
There's always this is one of the most misdiagnosed fucking those things in the world.
Right.
Is ADHD.
But I think as long as everybody ends up on stimulants, I'm happy. I think if the entire world gets to be on stimulants, then we'll like progress.
Oh yeah.
We'll like colonize Mars in like 10 years. So.
Ubermensch.
Yeah, exactly.
Like hard, dude.
Yeah.
Will the power it like fucking mega hard.
Exactly. My favorite kind of society is one that optimizes around everybody being like.
Just cracked out, fucking super coked out.
Yeah. I wonder if you've ever, because I did do some research into like dealing with negative symptoms, and I stumbled upon like some things like apparently I don't know if you've heard of like any kind of like treatments through nootropics or anything like that, but apparently there's an amino acid called like Sarcosine. If you take it, it's supposed to be, good for negative symptoms like Anhedonia or Avolition. There are some cases, and these are just, these are people on Reddit saying that took the things,
read it,
and they, you know,
treasure trove of knowledge.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that is actually where I find a lot of like really interesting anecdotes. And like then if you corroborate this thing from a year ago with another thing from 3 years ago, that a comment from like 2 months ago, unless I'm being like astroturfed hard.
Yeah, you're just talking loose association, bro. That's my life.
Yeah. But anyway, apparently they have a lot of good. 1 second, I'm just getting a call.
It's awesome.
What was I saying? Oh, they said that it helped them. You know, they said that they took Sarcosine and it was good for their Avolition and their Anhedonia. And
I can see that. I could see that, but the thing is Avolition and Anhedonia isn't exclusive to people that are Cluster A.
Right. But I think these are people who self-identify.
So it could probably help people
like
that if there's a chemical reason
I'll pull it up actually. Sarcosine.
But you know what I'm saying? Like if you're a person that's suffering from like manic depression, but your cognition is pretty like middle of the road, you know, as far as normal. Or whatever. Something like that probably could help you with the chemical issues that could improve your demeanor. But because then you're like, oh, I feel better. Now, time to fulfill my needs in this world that could potentially fulfill them. Mm-hmm. You get me? Meanwhile, even if like the reason a lot of schizoids or whatever feel this anhedonia or the abolition especially is because think about it like this. Okay, so if I overcome my negative symptoms, now what?
Right.
Okay, cool. I don't feel as depressed. I don't feel as miserable. Now what? What is there to do?
Right.
Cool. Like that's how it feels. And so sometimes a lot of people don't. That's why a lot of schizoids don't go to therapy or they don't go anywhere to actually fix any of their or work on their negative symptoms because they're not motivated to, because it's like, okay, so what's going to happen after I fix that?
All right.
Is that going to make me like, are my needs going to be fulfilled now?
Right. I'm going to share you what I'm looking at here. And we're gonna analyze this 2-year-old Reddit post, and we're gonna come to a conclusion.
Oh my god, dude! How long is this stream gonna be?
Okay. We'll call it quits 3:15. So we'll do 10 more minutes. But
okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you, because like I have a baby that needs to take a nap pretty soon.
I have no responsibilities.
I don't think she's gonna wait for me. Yeah, I know. I don't get to live that neat life, unfortunately. God, I wish I did some days. I used to. Okay, so let's see. NAC, Sarcosine for improved schizoid functioning. Try it responsibly.
And I've seen this. This isn't the only place I've seen this, but
okay. See, like this is after being a loser and God. So I feel more normal. I think Sarcosine and NAC plays it. I'm not diagnosed schizoid, but okay. Well, that's something right there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because the thing is there's a lot of people out there, and because we try to vet as much as we can on the server, not like to gatekeep in some shit annoying way. It's just like there's a lot of people that are depressed, and a lot of people that just feel detached in Avolition and Anhedonia because of depression, because of past trauma, or things of that nature, that aren't like necessarily like schizoid in the sense that it's not that they don't feel like they can connect to those things. It's just that they're not getting those needs met. If somebody were to meet those needs, they would suddenly not feel schizoid anymore.
That's something that's always in the back of my mind when I'm talking about stuff like that. Like because you always have to draw some kind of line where you're like, okay, you're not actually this thing. You're experiencing some other things. You're probably more or less normal. Like you have to draw a line somewhere.
Okay, well, this is silly because like I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, so he says he gives you the what is it? How does it pronounce? Sarcosine?
Sarcosine, yeah.
Yeah, and tells you it's a success story, but doesn't actually explain in any capacity that I can see how it actually made them quote unquote feel.
The reason
did they make them suddenly start connecting to the world around them that they couldn't before?
The reason I'm interested in this post in the first place was because for schizophrenia, Sarcosine and NAC is one of the top alternative medicine things that people use.
Yeah.
And it does. It's been proven to help with positive symptoms, negative symptoms, and cognitive symptoms of schizophrenia. And it doesn't. It's something like 20 to 30% reductions. I could send you some studies, but I mean, you can just look this up yourself.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there are studies.
Dude, that's the thing. Like, I have no issues with chemical, things like, or even whatever, whether it's conventional medicine or whatever. If it's taking the edge off and it's actually going to help you work your shit out, as far as trying to overcome some stuff. Like, so like, for example, combining therapy with a useful medication or herb or whatever the fuck you want to take, with creating an environment that could fulfill your needs on a social level, yeah, that can make you feel way fucking better. Like, I'm way fucking happier than I was a year ago, like, because of the community stuff. Because I was taking medication, got rid of my anxiety, helped me with that. Okay, cool. Depression was low level. It wasn't like spiraling out of control anymore. Okay, cool. What's it called? So those things were nipped in the bud, right? I was still just purposeless and just wandering, right? And so then it's like, oh, I didn't actually start feeling quote unquote happier until I found people that understood me and could communicate with me. Because then you find an in-group, you find a value system that you can share with others. If you want to take the edge off with Sarcosine or whatever the fuck, and it works for you, good. But it's not gonna fucking fix it. It's not gonna, because there's no medication you can take that's just gonna make your fucking cognition, like, there's no medication an autistic person can take that'll just make them not autistic. That's not how that fucking works.
Right.
Like, when you're it's not about we need to fix that person's cognition. It's about how can we meet that person's needs within the realm of their cognition that they grew up in and they're used to it. Because I can't imagine thinking differently than I do, because it's just how I fucking think, and I've always thought.
Right.
So I don't know how to feel about something. I just think, okay, if it takes the edge off, good, to do it.
Cool. All right.
I don't know.
I'll look. Audience, you can say whatever you want to say. You ask any questions you want to ask before we go.
Yeah, do it. I don't care.
And then
you want to ask me anything. I don't give a shit.
And then on another note, is there anything? Should we close off in a certain way? Would you like to bring up anything else?
Sure. I'll bring up something funny.
Sure.
My jobs usually involve the adult novelties.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really good at human sexual behavior stuff and selling people dildos.
That's funny.
That's like, because I'm really good at it, because like I said, I don't care. I'm just like, whatever. I could talk really clinically to people about their sexual weird fetishes and all that kind of stuff, and then sell them things.
Where can people find you? They want to know.
Oh yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me fucking chill away. So if you just YouTube search Schizoid Angst, you'll find me. Hopefully I'll start showing up just in general with people with schizoid, and starting to grow this a little bit. If you're a schizoid or think you are or something like that, and you're looking for people that can maybe understand you, because a lot of this related to you in some capacity, I have a Discord. If you just look up the tag Schizoid or Zoid Void on Discord, you can find it there. We have a vetting process, just because we don't need trolls all over the fucking place and shit like that. But you can check it out there. Watch the videos, check out the channel, see if you relate to any of this shit, whatever. I've been kind of on hiatus for a little bit because of this new job, but I'm also going to start streaming again and doing other stuff. And I'm only like fucking 200 something away from being monetized or whatever. I have a tiny ass fucking channel. I'm not a cool Chad like you.
Well, yeah, keep plugging away at it, and monetization, that's a big step. Man.
That's all I can do.
It's a big step. Being monetized is a big step.
Yeah, I guess. Whatever. I just want to help people. I don't give a fuck about all that.
Good. It's a good, good thing to work towards.
I don't.
Everyone just seems to, they positive vibes coming from the chat. That's all I can say. No questions, but yeah, thank you. This was a great chat. I learned a lot. I've learned a lot about where I need to learn more, and I respect what you do. I think that you're you're doing good work.
All right, cool, man. If do me a favor if you can, just so I can get a hold of more people that might get some help out of this. Just drop Twitter or something for this for my channel, and then this video or whatever. It's going to be on Twitch, you said?
Yeah, well, it saves it saves the stream as a Twitch thing, and then
somebody can go to your Twitch thing and find it there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then I'll just that way I have something to link to my server.
So for sure, I will. Hold on, I think I can edit the stream info right, and then.
Because they're gonna want to watch this conversation
with Schizoid
my little
Angst,
community
Twitter.
Yeah.
So Twitter. So I'll just put your @ and the title. Twitter @Schizoid Angst.
Yep. And I'm trying to get more people to talk about this stuff with, and trying to get a hold of different tubers or whatever that talk about mental health that might be interested in getting the word out for this shit.
Cool.
So whatever.
All right. Someone I think has posted your Discord in the chat. Yep, the Zoid Void. Okay, cool. All right, wonderful. I guess yes. Thank you for coming. Goodbye.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Peace out.
Peace.